So I recently went on a 2,000-mile road trip to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Stayed at an Airbnb there and did a little bit of fishing in the Bowling Green area. But even more than that, I did a lot of driving around and just exploring the countryside around Bowling Green. And I wanted to, after that 2,000-mile trip, I wanted to do a follow-up video after my one-year review, because there are a few things I didn't cover in that review that I wanted to cover after this road trip. And I think my overall rating on this truck has changed a little bit based on my road trip to Kentucky. So just want to let you know, first of all, that I averaged 24.5 miles per gallon on that road trip, which was quite amazing. I mean, I kind of blown away by that. I've never gotten that kind of gas mileage in any truck I've ever owned before, so that was fantastic. It was just a really wonderful traveling companion on this trip. So smooth and quiet. I didn't really cover the handling in my one-year review, the ride and the handling and the steering of this vehicle, but they're all really, really wonderful, especially by truck standards. I really can't emphasize enough how smooth the ride and handling are. Bowling Green had the smoothest, curviest, hilliest roads I think I've ever driven on anywhere in the US. And I just had such a blast driving this truck on those roads. I would put the transmission in sport mode, and that way I had enough engine braking to not need to use the brakes on these unbelievably smooth, hilly, curvy roads. It was like an endless racetrack driving on these beautiful roads in and around Bowling Green, Kentucky. I think the climate there is such that they can pave the roads and they just stay perfect, like this parking lot right here, perfectly smooth indefinitely, which is the exact opposite of here in Michigan. It seems like you pave a road here in Michigan and within a year you've got cracks and potholes due to the crazy climate here, the freeze-thaw cycles. So just driving this truck around those foothills of the mountains on those beautifully smooth roads, it was such a blast. I think that was probably the highlight of my trip because the fishing wasn't even all that great. So a few more things that I didn't cover in my one-year review. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the infotainment system in this vehicle is really terrible. I pretty much never use it. You can see it here. You know, everything you do has a really long pause. It takes forever to get from screen to screen. It's ugly. It's not intuitive. It's slow. The colors and graphics are pretty terrible. So basically, I just leave it on Apple CarPlay 99.9% of the time. It just doesn't make sense to ever use the Honda Infotainment Center system. You know, it is wired Apple CarPlay only, which is a bit of a bummer. I wish it was wireless, but it's certainly better than not having Apple CarPlay, that's for sure. So thank goodness this has Apple CarPlay, because I would be really frustrated with the Honda Infotainment system. So glad I don't have to use it for much of anything. So everything you read online about the ride and the handling on the Ridgeline, it's true in my experience now that I've been driving this for just under 25,000 miles. I mean, compared to body-on-frame trucks, pretty much all the ones I've ever driven, this just rides and handles so much better. It's not a sports car, but it's really on the sporty end of the spectrum for trucks, especially all the ones that I've driven over the years, mostly Toyota Tundras and Tacomas. They stiffened up the suspension on this compared to the Passport and the Pilot to give you that really high 1,600 plus pound payload rating. And when they did that, they created a really rather sporty ride. Again, it's not a sports car, but you know, it didn't handle like a Miata on those Bowling Green roads, but as far as trucks are concerned, I was just in shock at how well it handled those roads. It was such a blast driving it on those roads. So based on that 2,000-mile road trip, I'm gonna upgrade my overall rating on my 2020 Honda Ridgeline Sport to an A-. I chose B+ as my overall rating and my 1-year review, but I'm gonna upgrade it to A- based on my experience with that 2,000-mile road trip. I just can't recommend this truck enough. I'm absolutely certain now I'm gonna buy it from Honda Financial because it's leased, and drive this thing indefinitely. And when I'm ready to upgrade, if I ever decide to, I'm certain I'll be getting another Ridgeline, maybe move up one level on the trim. So thanks a lot for watching.